Keep the light from on my forehead.
Okay. Well, we are live. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Thank you and welcome to Pain to Power with myself, Ava Love. I have here with me the lovely Sadija Smiley. Oh my goodness. The wonderful things that she is doing within the community. I mean, I know we talk about domestic violence so much, but with domestic violence, there's so many layers to it. You have individuals who not only lose their lives, but they lose the lives of their children as well. But Sadija has really come up with some wonderful and creative ways to really help and give back to those who have lost their children, which are unilateral within the womb. Um, born, born still, as she says. And this is what we're talking about today. Not just stillborn, but born still. And when she twisted that around, she did actually bring it and give it more life than death to it, to transition and not something that to be so traumatic, even though it is, but to kind of help and guide them through their grief and their loss at that time. Um, I definitely would like to introduce you all and really hear some of the things that she is doing. So, Sadija, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the audience, who you are. Give them a background.
Yes, yes. So thank you for having me, and thank you for being open to having this discussion that many people are afraid to have, and many people are uncomfortable having. So thank you, Ava, for having me on the show today. So I'm Sadija A. Smiley. I'm the founder and CEO of SAILS, which is the acronym for Stillborn and Infant Loss Support. And we are a Maryland based 501c3 nonprofit organization. And our mission really is to provide a platform of mentorship, community education, and advocacy for families that have experienced pregnancy loss or the death of their baby before their first birthday. And the
Mhm.
organization, was kind of born out of my own pain. I lost my daughter, Aviana, when I was 9 months pregnant. I was 36 weeks. Actually, in 2 days, it'll be 17 years. So tonight might be a little rough for me. But again, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. Thank you. Tell me when when you think about, well, when people say individuals have lost their children, they've carried them, for a certain period of time, they're bonded with them. A lot of times people don't really understand the significance of that loss. And I know myself that people can lose a child and they will remember that for their rest of their life. They remember the dukes, they never forget them. And I know tonight is hard for you, but with that, how long did it take for you to come up with the idea and the concept to kind of help give back to other mothers and families who are going through that transition? Because it's not just the mothers, that grieve either. There are men that grieve that loss as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It took me, I would say, the first 5 years are kind of a blur for me after my daughter passed away. And then after that 5 years, I started going to counseling and really starting to open up a little bit about how that um, loss and how still having to give birth to her, knowing that she wasn't going to be alive, how that impacted me. I was dealing with some very heavy mental health challenges,
Mhm.
depression, as well as PTSD. And so once I started going to counseling and I was open to going to other support groups, I saw how many other people were actually impacted by this. And that's when it really opened my eyes to not only is it the parents, but it's the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, the cousins. Sometimes there's other siblings everybody that's connected and waiting for this baby to come home. And people really
Mhm.
didn't know how to comfort and talk to the couple that experienced the loss. And so once I saw that, I was like, somebody's got to, got to be able to do something. And so being able to
Yes.
give back and help the other families also helped me heal. It continues to help
Yeah.
me with my healing, and it also gives me an opportunity to keep my daughter's her name and her memory alive.
And that's wonderful. How well and receptive are the families when you talk about this? Because, you know, pretty much this has been something that's been uh pretty unknown when we're talking about hospitals. Now you are literally making a change in the whole hospitalization process. Even with the funerals, the whole process of reconnecting after they give birth and maintaining. And oh my goodness, tell us about, oh my goodness, you have just went, and I can't remember the name of it. I just had it. The baskets. You just donated one. Tell us about the baskets.
Yes, yes. So we have a keepsake box, and so in our keepsake box, they're handcrafted wooden boxes by Box and a Bow, and so on the outside of the box, there's a quote. It may say there's three different quotes that we have. We have "Here for a moment, love for a lifetime." We have "Your wings were ready, but our hearts were not," and then we have "Forever, our
Mm,
baby." And so it's a wooden keepsake box that we have contents, but they can remove the contents and use that to store and preserve the baby's items. Their outfit that they wore for the pictures, a lock of hair, bracelets, any shoes.
yeah.
But we pack it with some self care items so that when the family goes home, there's tea in there. There's some body lotion and some shower gel, some things to help the family, relax, help mom relax. We've also included a small pillow that says either our um, forever our son or forever our daughter, depending on which they have lost. And sometimes the families don't know the sex of the baby. So it says, "We love someone special." So we have the pillows that also go in those keepsake boxes as well.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. And how receptive are the families today? Do you find that more families are interested in the fact of taking part of this process now?
I find that, yes, recently, it took a while. I think many people, most of the people that reach out to us are folks that have experienced loss within the last year or two. And I think it takes, once I started telling my story, and then we have a feature on our social media and in our newsletter where we highlight another family story. And I think the more we share, the more families are coming forward saying that they need this type of community and support. They want to be around others who can relate. They want to connect. They're tired of, sometimes we get tired of having to tell people how we feel over and over. But when you're
Hmm.
amongst other
Right.
individuals that have experienced this, it's almost like the unspoken thing. You don't really have to go into it every time you meet with people. So families, especially lately with COVID, there's a lot of families that have been
Mhm.
forced to deliver alone, and as a result of that, they are
Mm,
almost grieving alone as well.
true. Just true. That is so true. And I mean, something that we're not really thinking about because most of the times when individuals go to the hospital, they have their support, they have their family, that come there with them. And whereas though now COVID is saying, only one person or sometimes is no one, depending on how you got there. Well, tell me now, there's another thing that you all have created, and it's with the babies being able to remain in the rooms with the mothers. This is you are you are really changing the ways that the hospitals and everyone is thinking. This is a true innovative process that is helping people. I can't imagine. I have lost before any child. Thank God, but I tell you, I can only imagine this process of allowing them to have that moment by themselves and not quickly removing the child from them. So tell us
Yeah.
about this. Tell us about this process.
Yeah, so there's a company, Flexmore, that has designed what's called a cuddle cot. And so the cuddle cot is a cooling bassinet that it has a cooling device in it that keeps the baby's body at a certain temperature to delay the changes in the body once the baby has passed away. And so it's essentially giving the family the gift of time, because since the changes are delayed, you can spend more time with the baby before you have to say your final goodbye. And so these cuddle cots run anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, so they're pretty expensive. And so,
Mm,
sales, we were able to raise enough money to donate a cuddle cot to Greater Baltimore Medical Center, which did not have one. And many people are and were still appalled that a hospital, of such stature does not have this device available to families.
right.
And so, and it's a lot of hospitals, believe it or not. I don't know why they don't, but a lot of hospitals don't have them. So it's our goal to try to donate one every year. But this year we've donated one to GBMC. And what's really, I didn't have this when I lost my daughter. Many people that are in our community are saying that they didn't have one and they wish they did. Because if you don't have this device, then when the baby passes, they have to take the baby downstairs to the morgue. And so every time you want to see your baby, they have to go down, bring him or her up, and they have to take them and they go through this up and down for 3 or 4 days while you're in the hospital. But with the cuddle cot,
Mm,
the baby can be in the room. You can baptize the baby if you want. You can take photos. You can bathe the baby. You can sing to the baby. Family members can come in. You get to spend some more time than you would if they did not have the device. So it's definitely helpful and needed.
most definitely. Well, Sadija, how many families would you say that you have worked with in the last year that have really changed their minds about the whole process? Because I know when it's introduced, because it's something that has never really been done or focused on for many years, that it becomes a little taboo. It's like, really, and why would I want to do that? But then how many families have actually changed their minds about being skeptical about it to actually wanting to and doing it?
I would say I was just looking at our numbers. So this year alone, we've worked with 55 families. And that's both in person and virtually through our events. And so, what comes to mind when you say the transformation of being able to talk about it and celebrate, I think about one of the ladies that we um, helped, and she actually did an interview um, on TV for us, and she just goes into her story and explains that prior to being introduced to the organization, she didn't really grieve the loss of her son. Her son passed away at 3 months old from sudden unexplained infant death syndrome. And so she talks about
Okay.
how she didn't grieve her son. She didn't celebrate his life. She didn't acknowledge, any milestones. She just didn't think that one, she could do it. And two, she didn't feel strong enough mentally and emotionally to do it. But once she came to an event where she met with other moms and dads, and we read off names, and she saw how families were acknowledging the life and other ways that they were celebrating the life, she started to acknowledge her son. And so she celebrates his birthday every year. She now posts pictures, she lights the candles, she participates in some events. So I think it's very freeing when you see that it's okay for me to talk about it. As a society, just
Right.
grief and death, we're just it's nobody wants to talk about it because it's very heavy and it can be depressing and sad and bring up
Mhm.
sad feelings. But what we've learned to
Yeah.
do and try to mentor our families is that grief and pain, joy and sadness can walk hand in hand, and really finding a way to carry them both so that you can still celebrate,
Right.
even though you feel a little broken. It's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's so wonderful that you are really helping individuals, because a lot of people are not aware about grief. Grief can affect individuals so differently. The process of it. It can take days and it can take years. And really having those families to connect with someone to help work them through that process is so important. How do you fig- What do you find to be the most challenging process with your clients through the loss of their child?
I think the most challenging is the blame. Many of us blame ourselves as to why the baby didn't make it. And if we don't blame ourselves, then sometimes we blame our partner, right? So if it's mom, mom may blame dad for stressing her out, or something that happened between them. If it's dad, then he may blame mom because mom is the one that's carrying the baby. And then mom also blames herself because
Mm-hmm.
we're the vessel that allows this life to enter into the world. And until it enters into the
Yes.
world, we're responsible, for this life. So I think the blame is
Right.
the biggest thing, that most of us, and dealing with our families too. That's the most difficult hurdle and thing to kind of uncover and have some acceptance around it not being your fault.
Yes. Well, tell us, what is the process when a family ends up having a child that goes through transition who's born still? How do they go about connecting with you?
So it depends on where they are. If it's in the hospital, any of the two hospitals that we work with, Howard County General and Greater Baltimore Medical Center, and they will provide the family with information on how to contact us, and they can contact us when they're ready. Most likely, many of our families that have come to us so far have come either from a referral from a friend or someone else that knows about the organization, or from social media. And so, depending on where they are in their journey, determines our
Mhm.
connection. Because some of our families, we have a text line where we can text, and they can get some support. Some families, it's only text messages that
Okay.
are exchanged because that's just where they are. And every now and then they need to get out their feelings. Other families, we're sending mementos and anniversary cards once a year to them because they want their baby's name acknowledged and they want to have, that interaction with us. And then others come to our events and they're asking, now that COVID, we don't have any in-person events, but they're like, well, when is the support group going to start? So it really varies depending
Mhm.
on where they are. But they come to us
Okay.
at various stages. We have some new losses, new being in the last couple of months. And then I recently connected with a male who he's 54 years old and he was 18 when his set of twins died. And
Mm.
he had not talked about, he and his wife and never talked about it. And so he's just now starting to uncover his feelings around what happened and how it happened. So it really varies on where people are in their journey. Some people we talk to and we never get to see because they're just not comfortable yet.
Right. Well, when individuals contact you within a hospital, is there a certain time frame that takes place that they have to call you within? Because most of the times, I know after they have the babies, the hospital generally will release individuals within 2 to 3 days. Sometimes even quicker than that nowadays. Is there a process with the hospitals now that they will give them extended time if they contact you all, or is it still the same amount of time that they will have to be able to be with the baby before they release?
It's still the same amount of time. We haven't been able to work out any, with medical billing and, all this is about money. We haven't really been able to work out anything where they can have extended time. But
Okay.
sometimes what happens, I've gone with a few moms for procedures where they had to have the baby removed. So when you find out that your baby has passed away or will be born still, what happens is you find out that the baby has passed in utero. And once they tell you
Mm-hmm.
that your baby unfortunately doesn't have a heartbeat, then you're scheduled for induction to deliver the baby, or a DNC if they have to remove the baby. So you kind of know what's going to happen. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
typically when we're introduced, once the parents find out that the baby doesn't have a heartbeat. Because for some of our moms, I've been able to go with them to the hospital and sit while they have their procedure done, because they want to have that moral support. And then other moms,
Right.
the process has happened and then they get home and they reach out to us. So it really depends on where they are when they reach out. But typically, for all the clients that we've worked with that have been in the hospital, we were in contact with them before they went in, either to deliver or to have their procedure done.
Great. Well, I tell you, the hospitals I know are happy that they have another support to be able to those individuals, who have lost a child. How often do you work with? I know you work with the families, but are the siblings, the children, are they present?
Yeah, it depends on how where they are. We are I'm also a certified grief recovery specialist, and so I work with individuals that have experienced any loss. And one of our programs is helping children with loss. And so in that program, we walk with the parents and help the parents um, encourage and motivate and support their children. And so through that program, we are helping children age appropriately, being able to impact and help the children as they grieve that process. And a lot of the work that we do is with the parents. How do I tell, the siblings? Do I tell them? Do I wait till they become a certain age before I say something?
Mhm.
So we really talk about what's important to the parents, how comfortable they are, and then if they are going to introduce the baby and what happened, how are they going to do that? One of the things that has been really helpful is there's another mom who started a nonprofit in St. Louis, Missouri, and she's written children's books. So I have ordered her books for our families. One is called I Have a Little Sister, and it talks about how to help your children through that process and identifying, where the baby is. And then the other one is about feelings, helping children process through the feelings that come along with that grief.
Great, that's great to know. Now, for the families, I know for those who reach out to you during the process, what about the ones who reach out to you afterwards that they want something to, it's been a while, maybe a couple of years, but they want to be able to have something to remember their own child by. They may not have had the opportunity to take pictures and things of that nature. What do you do for those families?
So we have a number of ways that we can help families celebrate, the life of their baby. On our website, we have what's called a remembrance wall. And on that wall right now, we have over 115 babies' names. And so that's a way that families can honor their child's life. They can add their baby's name and their date on our wall. So that's one way. Another way, we just started our teddy bears. So we have little teddy bears that have t-shirts on, and it has the same messages that our keepsake boxes have, either forever our baby, your wings were ready but our heart was not. And so that's another way that we can do. And we also help with small, like my necklace, this is cremation jewelry, so it's a butterfly, and so some of my daughter's ashes are actually in my necklace. And so there's jewelry, if the baby was cremated.
Beautiful.
And then it has her name. You probably can't see it, but it has her name etched in on the back. Um, and so
That's
you can do
gorgeous.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's jewelry, that you can get. So we really find out what makes the family comfortable. Are they looking for something that they can carry with them and keep with them all the time?
Mhm.
Are they looking? Because some of us have shelves or shrines. We may have an urn and some teddy bears or candles for our baby. So really looking at how do they want to memorialize the baby. We've also partnered
Oh,
with
wow.
another nonprofit organization, and they provide temporary markers. And so you can get your baby's name and picture, and you can do a garden in the back, if you want, and put the baby's
Mm.
marker there and do a garden. So we really look at what the family wants to do, because not everybody, wants the same thing. And some people are just not comfortable with other ideas. And so we look at where they are and, just how much of a memorial and a remembrance they want to do. Some people are just fine with adding the name to the website, and that's it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I know I do look at it, whereas though, with us dealing with domestic violence, a lot of times individuals might have lost that child, but are still with that abuser. And that abuser may not have the same emotions or thoughts or compassion as that individual does. So when they want to come back at some point in time, that they escape from their abuser and get settled, and they want to be able to remember that child, how, it's important for them to know that they can do it, that you all are out here and provide the service for them to still grieve and celebrate the life of their child. That's so
And one of the
important.
other the losses that I think many people overlook is abortion. People don't always count abortion as a loss because they have their varying views,
Yes.
but it's still a loss. Whether it's
Yes.
an elected termination or whatever your choice is, it's still a loss. And so we actually met a mom who had an abortion when she was 16 in 1977. And when I met her, she was like, I never realized that that was a loss. I didn't grieve for him. And she didn't know whether it was a boy or a girl, but she
Mhm.
wanted to remember her baby. She named him. We added his name to the wall. She lights a candle for him. And that helped with her healing process, even though it was that long ago, in 1977, but she was able to process through that.
Right. And that is important because you do have individuals who have been forced to have abortions as well. So absolutely. I can truly understand that. So Deja, I so appreciate what you're doing. As I told you before when we first met, to me, I believe when people have taken that passion and it wasn't about the whole process of gain of fame, it was just the point of really wanting to give back and support individuals who have hurt and went through the same pain that you yourself went through. Um, I think you're doing such a tremendous job. It is wonderful to know that we have you here. And I definitely do. I told you we're going to do some things together because I do believe there's so many women through domestic violence who have lost their children, that were born still, that they haven't had that opportunity. Some of them don't even know that that opportunity is even available. But we do want to help bring that change and help to actually get you out there so individuals can know. So definitely to have you come out to do some speaking at some of the events, have you on a lot more of some of our virtual events as well to let some of the audience know that you're available because people are hurting. They're hurting and experiencing that loss of a child. I know, like I said before, people never forget it. It's never forgotten. And a lot of them don't know how to talk about it. So,
And it's not always easy, but there's not always spaces, where we can talk about it. I think one of the biggest challenges when it comes to the baby not surviving birth or passing away early is that everybody's talking about their living children, right? They're showing
yeah,
photos, and so it's, where's the space for me to talk about my baby who did not live? Most people are uncomfortable with that. So it's really about creating a space where you can talk about your baby, whether it's living or not. It's still your baby, it's still your child, it's a part of you, and he or she existed and they matter. And so it's really about creating space where it's okay, to talk about your baby.
but what do you think, and why do you think that a lot of people are so withdrawn from having that discussion? I mean, individuals talk about the loss of children that were born alive, but don't want to discuss the ones that were born still.
I think the biggest thing is people don't see a pregnancy as a baby until it's born, if that makes sense. And so if you have a miscarriage at 6 weeks or 8 weeks, many people are like, oh, well, you weren't that pregnant. What is that pregnant? The moment you know you're having a baby, you're connected to that baby. You start making plans and, you're going to do hair, you're going to do nails. Who's going to be the godparent, and oh, is it going to look like dad?
Mhm.
Is it going to look like mom? Are we going to name it after grand? People start making preparations, but a lot of times
Yes.
it just seems like others aren't as connected until they can actually see it, almost like out of sight, out of mind. As the woman or the couple, they've seen the heartbeat, they've seen the sonograms, they've seen the pregnancy test, that said positive, but for a lot of other people, it's not
Yes.
real till they can see the baby. Because even if you think about life insurance, you can't get life insurance on an unborn child. So if the baby does pass away, you don't have insurance to have a funeral. The industry doesn't even
True.
recognize your baby, so it's hard for others to recognize something that they can't see.
And I find that to be, I have an issue with that. And I say it so often because they will, society will identify an unborn puppy or animal, but they won't identify an unborn child as life. That's a bit perplexing to me, as well as disturbing.
Mhm.
But I do understand what you're saying. And I think a lot of that plays on society of what individuals have made a decision, which also go back to what we were not going to talk about, the Roe versus Wade situation. But um, unfortunately, some people think like that, but you're absolutely correct. The moment when someone realizes that they have a positive pregnancy test, that thing right there is the set for one. That's life. Is developing, is growing, is life. Whether it has formed into the actual shape of at that point in time of a baby, it's still life, it's still processing, it's still growing. There's still a heartbeat, although there is no actual distinctive form, there's still a baby.
Mhm.
Um, I think what you're doing is so needed. I think you are really making some changes in the whole process. Thank you. I can only imagine what the hospitals are saying. Because I know that they've had grief counselors, but this is a whole new process, a whole new way of life to help individuals. And it's for a lifetime. This puts a great effect on how they move forward. Even with families who've been stuck because they have had that loss, who were afraid to have another baby because
Mhm.
they're still grieving or thinking that they're taking something away from the one that they had lost.
Yeah. Yeah. And that Ava right there, you hit it on the head because if I could be transparent for about 1 minute, that is something that I struggle with and I still struggle with. My second daughter, her birthday is November the 10th. Yesterday, we celebrated her 16th birthday. And I had her after I lost my first daughter. And so they're so
Mhm.
close. On the 10th, I'm celebrating the life of my second daughter. And on the 13th, I'm acknowledging the death of my first daughter. And so it's really hard because you don't want to take away from the baby that didn't make it, but you also don't want to take away from the baby that did. And it's so hard not to make it's just it's difficult being pregnant, after a loss too. So that's something that, we try to work with families on too, because it's hard. It's really hard.
Yes, I can only imagine, but I think the most thing is, as you stated, to continue to celebrate the life and that child. That's the most important thing. And to know that you still have room and space to give to the other child for them not to be forgotten and overshadowed. And I think once you make it and incorporate it as a family process, then it wouldn't really be taking away as much as it is and giving back. So I love what you're doing. I like I said, so many people on so many levels. I like I said, I've never experienced it personally myself, but I have experienced people who have lost, and just that mere connection of never forgetting. I think about that. I've had those conversations with people and just remembering how they remember that. And a lot of people will say to them, get over it. You know, you can have another one. And but that doesn't replace the loss of that one that you were expecting to be here, be with you. So
Exactly.
I can truly understand.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
thank you for understanding and wanting to understand, because I think many people think they can't get involved and they can't have a conversation, or they don't have a place in the work if they haven't experienced it. But you do, we all do, because it touches so many levels of our lives. Because, I was thinking about this the other day. I had a mom reach out who she received a baby shower gift after she lost the baby. And we were
Oh,
talking, and there's no way to stop the baby registry. Like you can't. It, there's no way to just cut it off. People are still looking your name up, and if you haven't told
mhm.
everybody, which most people have not, very early on, then they are still sending gifts. You're getting Pampers samples, and you're getting Enfamil and formula, and it's no way to shut that off. So I think that we all have a place, because
Oh,
if you work at Target, right, and you're the IT department, that's something you can help with, being able to set up a button or something that can stop delivery of baby shower gifts if they have a loss. So it's something that we all, can find a place to help have the conversation and comfort those who
right.
experience this.
Well, I definitely think that is another task for you to actually work on. Definitely with connecting with those department stores and getting those registries to stop, because it is such a disturbing process to have that gift come in and continue through, and that child is no longer going to be there. I mean, especially for individuals who have set up the process. I think maybe too, this is just a suggestion of something I'm throwing out to you. Get having something where as though that you all can implement a team that will help individuals and go out to help them take down
Mhm.
the baby stuff. Sometimes I know people who have had a whole room set up and they have lost that child and they do not want to go back in that room. So who's going to do it? You know, they need someone to come in to assist them. I mean, almost like hoarders. If they're not going to do it, you have to get someone to come in, help work them through that process, because I know it's not just a whole tear down process. You have to deal with the issues of release and grief before you can do it. But that's definitely something those individuals would need help with.
Ava, you are in my head, because that is on my list of. And I'm telling you, right, we are here because that's exactly what I experienced. When I came home,
Mm.
I had to take that stuff down. I didn't have anybody to help me. We had a crib, the room was done. And I wish I had somebody that would ask me, do I want them to go in and take the things down? Because I would have said yes. Some people don't want it touched, but others, they don't want to go home to that. And so you are in my head, because I think we should have that option. We're working on something like that, maybe getting a team of volunteers that we can dispatch out that can go and help with the breakdown and packing things up, so that when the family comes home, if they don't want to see that, they don't have to.
Right, right. Well, that is wonderful. I'm so glad to know that. Once again, this is not going to be our last. We will definitely be having some more conversations. I know we've both been busy playing hit and miss with one another, but I told you I'm gonna keep pushing, keep trying, and I'm so glad that you were able to join us tonight to really tell our audience about what you're doing. Just I can say is just keep doing it, keep just being that inspiration and helping those individuals through transitioning is so needed. Like I said, there's something in my mind right now, and we will talk about later, but definitely with individuals with domestic violence who have lost and have not had that opportunity, to grieve. We definitely want to be able to do something for those individuals.
Yeah.
So to you, my sweet sister, I say to you, you're a beautiful individual, and my heart still goes out to you for your loss. Um, I know this. All I can say is this, that every day that you go out and you help another family to deal with their grief, that the loss of yours was never in vain. The process, I know it's not easy, but as I say to some, that it does get a little light. It's not as heavy, but it's there. And I can't tell you that I know how you feel, but my heart goes out to you, you and your family. But to know that such a beautiful person will be able to continue to love the heart of that one that is not present here, but still here and helping others, I thank you. And that's what pain to power is taking all that pain that you've had and helping somebody else. Because some people don't make it. Some people lose their child, and you might as well say they have lost their life as well. Their life to live, that they are here and not here. So thank you for that. Thank you for helping other individuals regain their strength and their will to continue to move on.
Thank you. Thank you. Like you said, it's not easy, but I always, my mantra is it's not easy, but it's necessary. Because
Yes.
I have to do
Woo.
it. I have to do it. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to because I know how I felt. I know how I feel, and I know where I was, and I wouldn't want anybody. I don't want to leave anybody like that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for all the work you are doing. Thank you for your team. Thank you for your supporters. I thank your supporters for backing you and just do yes, because it takes a team.
It
It takes a
absolutely
very
does.
to get out there and to do those things, especially when something and people like you doing what? I don't know about that.
Yes, and you want me to do and where you think it's going, to have people believe in a vision that they can't see is it takes it's a lot.
Yes, but oh my goodness, thank you. Well, Khadijah, wait a minute. Khadijah, wait a minute, because there's what else? There's some other things you do that you have not said. So I want you to tell the audience about the other things that you do. We leave here, and I definitely need for you to let them know about your contact information and your website and your phone number so that they can reach out to you and visit your website.
Yes, yes, thank you. I'm getting getting a little teary eyed. So we host events. I also come out and do talks and not only share my story, but it's important for me to educate individuals on how they can help someone that has experienced this. So I don't mind. I talk to people all the time, either one on one or in groups over the phone. People reach out. How can I help my sister? How can I help my brother? How can I help? So I'm available for any guidance around those things. We have two events each year: our Survivor Summit and what we call our celebration. And that's where the Survivor Summit, we bring together the lost community and the broader community, and we have a good time. It's again one of those balancing acts with the fun and the pain and the joy and the sadness. And so we have a DJ, we have presentations. We also always have a mental health professional on staff, on site rather, if anyone needs to talk through anything that comes up. Because although I love this work, I do this work, I am not a licensed therapist. And so I always have to pull in on those individuals that have the licensure to handle through that. you can look at donate. You can go to our website, www.bornintosilence.org. If you want to donate, you can make a donation to support another family with the keepsake box. If you want to donate your time, we are always looking for volunteers. We're actually coming up on a board recruitment season kicking off in December. So if you're looking to get really, really involved in some community work, please check us out. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Born Into Silence.
Well, thank you. And once again, you all, thank you for joining Paying the Power and having just the introduction of Sadija and all the work that she is doing to help those individual families who have babies that are born still. I thank you. I pray that you all have a wonderful day and be safe.